Stop trusting the process. That might sound strange coming from me because I talk a lot about systems, structure, and building things that are repeatable, scalable, and reliable. Of course, I believe in all of that, but I don't believe in blindly trusting a process. And that's where a lot of people get this wrong. Trust the process has almost become this throwaway phrase. Keep going, it'll work out. Follow the plan, trust the process. But the reality is most people saying that have never actually gone through a process that's worked to a high level before. So what exactly is being trusted? A process isn't some magical thing that guarantees outcomes. It's a set of decisions, a sequence of events. And in coaching and leadership, it's designed and followed by a human being. And that means it's fallible. It can be wrong or be followed wrong, misapplied. And when we state we're trusting the process, we're almost putting too much faith in an external power that doesn't exist. And if you remove responsibility from the individual and place it purely onto the process, you lose accountability. And I believe that's risky because now, when things don't work, no one owns it. The process is blamed without enough focus on who was managing it, who was leading it, and who designed it in the first place. Coaching and leadership is human, and whilst many parts of those roles can be automated and process-driven, it ultimately is human-led. So what if the process is the problem? The process doesn't fix that, people do. Of course, look, I understand why it's a nice phrase that coaches use. It represents doing the work, the reps, the volume. It represents the training program. I get it. If you do enough of X, you'll get more of Y. To an extent, that can be true. Repetition and preparation takes care of a lot, but only if the reps and the prep is correct. What if the inputs are wrong? What if the standards within it are too low? What if the expectations aren't clear or the tolerance is too high? We've trusted the process and ended up substandard. When we go to a competition and the athlete falls 2 times or fails to hit performance expectations, what do we have to say about the process that we were trusting? Not enough. We often go back to the gym and repeat the same mantra, trust the process. Now, I believe in processes massively. In fact, it's a big part of the work that I teach, but those processes aren't followed blindly. They're understood, they're challenged, they're refined constantly, and most importantly, they're owned. And that's the difference. You see, high performers don't trust the process. They don't give away their power to something else. They design it, build it, question it, adapt it, and of course they take responsibility for it. And even if they've seen it work before, they don't assume it will work again because context changes, people change, and pressure changes. What worked once doesn't automatically work again. So instead of trusting the process, what I really encourage you to do is to own the process. Because the moment you hand control over to a process, you hand control away from yourself. And in coaching and leadership, that's just not where you want to be. If you found this useful, I share more of these bits of content in my weekly newsletter, and the link's in the description. I'll see you next time.